Welcome back to the show, everybody. IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LGG4. I'm Damon Hatfield. This is Eric Goldman. We are joined by Denis Leary and Elizabeth Gillies.
And we are here to bring you the news.
Yes. We're talking about
Donald Trump is still a giant asshole, apparently. That's our headline today. Liz?
The weather.
The weather.
I'm not ready with the weather. But so let's talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex and drugs. And rock and
There's
roll.
a lot of those in
I know,
there.
there's a lot of ands in there.
3 ampersands in there.
Ampersand.
We get offended if they're not all
Ampersand.
represented.
You know,
understand.
I've actually read a couple of things by guys and overheard guys complaining that we're using too many ampersands.
Yeah,
Like,
I've heard it too.
How easy is your life if 4 ampersands
Sure.
is a problem for you?
But what was the meeting like with the network when they said you can't hashtag that because ampersands take out the hashtag? Was that a...
That's when SDRR was created.
Okay,
The most
okay.
amazing
Can I ask a question? Why
hashtag of all.
can't you?
You can't because the symbols break up hashtags on
Yeah.
Twitter.
It's how the internet works.
It's how it works.
That's just how it
they
works.
get
But wait a
clogged in
minute,
the
wait a minute.
tubes.
Can we just stop here for
They
a second?
can't change it for you. It's done.
But why would that be a problem on the internet? It's like, that makes no sense to me.
I know. Do you
Totally
think they
agree
would have
with you.
fixed it at this point? But no,
No,
it's still a problem. But I'm glad you stuck with
Impossible.
your title. This is your return to FX. Obviously, a very different show than Rescue Me. Can you talk about your character in this show? And when we meet him, I don't want to say it's kind of. I don't want to say has been because he more of a never was or a has been because he's a guy. He was right on the cusp, right?
He's a never was.
Has never been.
Has never been. That's a great way to describe it. He's a has never been. He's a guy that, he's one of those guys that could have been, he wanted to be famous as a guy in a rock band when he was 20, years old. And he screwed it up. A combination of ego and some chemical, substance abuse, mostly ego. His band broke up, and so he spent his entire life bitter that nobody knows who he is. And the series picks up with him trying to put the band back together again, so he can make a living.
Right.
At this point, he's not going to be famous, but that's the story.
And then he's thrown a big curveball with your character.
I'm the curveball.
You're the curveball. Can you explain why you were such a curveball in his life?
Well, I think I find him at a low point, and he has no idea that I ever existed or that he had a daughter or a child, let alone like a grown-up, very determined adult wanting to be a singer. So when I come and find him in New York at probably the lowest point in his life, it definitely it changes things up. I offer him money,
Yes.
and the rest is history.
Are you forced very quickly to kind of become the parent in the situation?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, he can't be a parent.
Right.
But he does parent in certain ways, but she definitely takes on more of an adult role, I'd say.
Yeah, the dynamic is definitely.
I keep you in check, as does Ava, as does his girl.
She doesn't drink. She doesn't do drugs.
Yeah.
She's very talented. She's wise beyond her years. Her father is, assisted by some alcohol and some drugs.
Yeah.
And actually, even at this point in his career, his life, things like Crestor and Avodart and Cialis, because he's old now. But so that's the dynamic. But the real story is about this family, which is the band.
Yeah.
Every rock and roll band I've had the privilege of knowing, or being close to, they really are. They're a family. And so the parents in a band are usually the lead singer and the lead guitar player. And if they break up, the entire family falls apart because nobody wants to see, Aerosmith without Stephen and Joe, or the Stones without Mick and Keith. So that's my relationship with Corbett. He's the lead guitar player and I'm the lead singer. So it's really about, this fun. Can we swear on this?
If you could not, that'd be
I
great.
can't. I can't physically stop you
We
from
can't
doing
stop you, though. We're not
Did
going
you do it yet?
What happens if I swear?
Let's find out.
No,
Let's go
everything.
down. Let's start with
does
A.
it get bleeped?
No, I don't think they can. Yeah, they'll probably believe you, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I won't swear. I'll just say that the show is, it's dark, but it's. I think it's funny, and it's got a little
It is funny.
very small dollop of drama, so that it keeps itself grounded. But we're out to make you laugh your ass off, every week for half an hour with this really messed up family. And I think when I say messed up, you know what I really mean, but I'm not going to say it because we're trying to be nice.
It's a family show here.
It's a family show.
Right, like your show. She likes to, definitely is pushing his buttons. She's sort of openly threatening to sleep with John's character.
If she goes right for the jugular on that one.
Yeah. So
Have you already seen the show?
I've seen a few episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, he's like,
Yeah.
I got the
have you
hook
seen
up.
it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah.
Well, you back up.
I'm in
Let's
the
have a
dark.
conversation
Did you
with
like
you.
it?
I did like it. Yeah.
Are you lying to me right
not
now?
lying to
I
you.
think you're lying to me.
Your voice went up. You went, I like it.
What was your favorite part of the show?
My favorite part of the show was.
Favorite guest star so far?
No, wait. Let's start.
Wait a
What's
second.
your favorite part of the show?
My favorite part of the show is honestly like seeing her push your buttons and just the figuring out that dynamic and the fact that he is, he's such a mess as a person,
Right.
and that she is, she and when you're kind of arguing about whether you love each other and
Right.
kind of
Okay.
figuring that all out.
Well, I think if you like that, then you probably will like the show.
Yeah.
Long range, yeah.
The cool thing about the show is that it really only gets crazier and better. I think towards the end, it just gets. There's more at stake. That everything. I don't know. It kind of reaches a fever pitch and then ends on a. Well, you'll see. But it only gets better. Dennis did a really good job.
Of course,
I have a great cast
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't exist without.
and great musicians working on the show.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, because there's a ton of musical performances in the show, and sort of how did you approach that? Who did you get together to do? You're singing a bunch of songs, obviously, Elizabeth. And
Yeah.
Well, I had to find somebody for her character guaranteed who could sing live because I wanted to record the vocals live.
Yeah.
I just felt that would give the show, when you're watching it, I think the audience knows if something feels real or not. So it had to be somebody who could sing live. And then I have, I'm very lucky. I'm very good friends with a guy named Greg Dooley, who's the lead singer and songwriter of a band called the Afghan Wigs.
Yeah. And appears in the show.
And appears in the show. So the Wigs and Greg Dooley, a lot of the guys from the Wigs, were in the studio to record the old songs that the Heathens did from back in the 90s. So that was a salvation for me because those guys are such pros, and Greg was producing. And then for the modern day stuff, which is most of Liz's character's music and the modern day stuff that the band comes up with, I had my technical advisors, which are really my comedy band, but those guys are all professional musicians. They've been in bands like the Jim Carroll Band, the Del Fuegos, Ozzy Osbourne's band. They're well-known session guys and live players. So really, I just went into the studio. Once I got her, it's just like writing a scene. A good scene is great if the actors are great. They'll just make it look better than it was. So these songs, my songwriting partner Chris Phillips and I were writing these songs, but really because we had her to sing them, we would just go in the studio, turn it over to her and the musicians, and it would turn into something else. So I didn't really have to worry about that side of the show because of her and them. And I mean, hopefully when people watch, they'll be able to tell. Her vocals in like episode 3 when she plays live in a club for the first time, that's her first take vocal that I ended up using.
Nice.
Her live vocal from that scene.
Right.
So
I think it feels better when you watch something and it's live. There's an energy that you can feel. It feels like you're watching a rock concert a little bit, like you're in an audience as opposed to watching something that was played back or recorded or reenacted. So I'm happy that we did it that way.
And if by the way, the first time I sing live is in episode 2, that Radiohead Morrissey song.
Right.
The best.
Just listen real close, because there's so many clams in that 40 seconds.
It's my favorite song.
But I left them in there because it's my live vocal, and it's pretty much, she's a great singer, I'm just a screamer. But
No, there have been times where I've hit a weird note and it kills me. Like, I can't have that. But then it's like, you need to lighten up, and that's, people like hearing something real in there. A little mistake never hurt anyone. Hopefully there are not too many.
usually after
Makes it feel real.
Yeah, I think it makes it real for the audience. So.
Before we let you go, Dennis, we're just
Do we
curious.
have to go now?
In a couple
Jeez,
minutes.
Just
all
about
right.
out of time.
Get your phone. We thought we were sleeping over.
Well, I just thought we'd be on longer. I think Mike Tyson was up here for like an hour, but that's okay.
That's okay.
He's the champ.
It's okay.
He's the
You don't cut him off.
We're here at Comic-Con. You had a role in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Just curious what you think. They didn't get to finish that story. Do you think Mark got a fair shot on that? Or are you disappointed that he didn't get to finish up?
I was disappointed because I'm totally selfish and greedy, and I was part of the franchise. I came back briefly in 2. Part of the discussion was that possibly in 3 there was this idea at one point that Spider-Man would be able to take this formula and regenerate the people in his life that had died. So there was this discussion about that Captain Stacy would come back even bigger in episode 3, and I was like, let's go.
Right.
So I was a little disappointed, but I like working with Mark a lot. Mark's a great director, great actors director, and I loved working with that cast. We had a blast. And I really would love to work with Mark again. For a big budget, gigantic action movie that's really about a franchise. To be on that stage and watching Emma and Andrew, and even in our group scenes, we would just go off script and improvise, which nobody let you do on those things.
Really?
Yeah, it
On
was
a big
really
movie
great.
like that?
Yeah, it was really
That's
great.
wild.
It was really, it was a lot of fun.
Oh.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I miss it because I really liked working with those guys. And
Well, we have an
Reese is one of the funniest human beings who has ever walked the planet. I don't think people out there realize how funny this guy is.
Yeah.
So working with him on the set is all day. It's just laughing your ass off. So that's the answer to that question.
Oh,
All
thank
right,
you.
Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll premieres July 16th.
That's right.
On FX.
Where's the main
like 5
camera? Who do I
days.
talk to?
Talk forward.
Yeah, just straight ahead
Sex,
into
Drugs,
the
and Rock and Roll,
darkness.
Thursdays at 10 on FX. And forget about me. The show is about Liz Gillies.
It's not.
See this girl.
Completely
She's
split
fantastic.
in half. Nope.
She's
not true.
Thank you
and
guys.
John
much, yeah.
Corbett.
Stay tuned, more to come
Hate
from
him.
IGN Live here at Comic Con after this.
Thank you. Oh, I love seeing outlets.